India and China will be holding a fresh round of border talks under the Special Representatives Mechanism today. The talks are being held for the first time since India-China's military standoff at the Doklam Plateau. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and China's State Councillor Yang Jiechi will discuss on ways to maintain peace and tranquility along the border between the two nations. And the issue of Doklam is expected to figure in the talks. Ahead of the talks, Beijing had stated that the Doklam standoff had posed a major test for bilateral ties with India, and lessons should be learnt from it to avoid a similar situation in future. China's Belt and Road Initiative is also likely to be discussed, as Beijing is expected to make an attempt to coax India into joining the initiative. India has declined to join the initiative due to its sovereignty concerns over China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which passes through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. Joining me on the broadcast is WION's senior correspondent, Ramesh Ramachandran. Good morning, Ramesh. A very crucial meeting indeed between the Indian and the Chinese side, and clearly Doklam will be discussed.
Well, Raghavendra, crucial in the sense that this is the first border talks happening after the standoff ended on the Doklam Plateau in the month of August. But that said, this will be the 20th round of border talks. The first one was held in 2003. And since then, we've seen Indian and Chinese special representatives hold a meeting alternatively in each other's country in Beijing or New Delhi or any other Indian city. But that said, as you mentioned, this is crucial because, as I mentioned, this is the first meeting after the Doklam standoff ended, and both sides can be expected to discuss the Doklam standoff as well. Remember, India says the Sikkim border, the Sikkim sector, has not been delineated just yet because India says any unilateral move by China on the Doklam Plateau will have to be done in consultation with all the parties concerned, namely India, Bhutan and China, and therefore the Sikkim sector of the Doklam standoff remains an issue for India. But China maintains that Sikkim sector has been delineated and therefore there cannot be any two opinions about it. That said, the line of actual control is an incremental progress being made. The last 14 odd years, India and China have agreed on the political parameters and guiding principles for a border settlement. Today, the talk is centered on a framework for the settlement of the boundary issue, and the third and final step would be the actual delineation of the border between India and China. So the talks are poised in the second stage, where talk is centered on the framework for settlement.
Right. And also, Ramesh, the standoff ended a few months back, the 72-day-long standoff at the Doklam site. But ever since, we have been having reports, and WION has been reporting rather comprehensively on the fact that the Chinese presence near the standoff site, it continues to grow. They have been creating a lot of infrastructure near the standoff site. So is the Indian side likely to take up the increased Chinese presence near the standoff site during these talks?
Well, Raghavendra, for the record, the Ministry of External Affairs, the Indian Foreign Ministry, maintains that status quo continues to obtain on the Doklam Plateau. But that said, India is again reiterating that the operational matters are dealt with by the Ministry of Defense, and these cannot be discussed in the public domain, which means, therefore, that one can draw an inference that India's disengagement from Doklam is subject to the activities carried out by China on the other side, and therefore the Ministry of Defense can be expected to take all the operational measures required to protect India's interests on the Doklam Plateau. And to that extent, how many troops will be disengaged, when and how will all be operationally decided by the Ministry of Defense in consultation with the Ministry of External Affairs. So it is an ongoing process. The last word has not been said on the Doklam disengagement just yet.
Right. We'll leave it at that for the moment, Ramesh. Thank you so much for joining us with those updates.